Hi, this is Stephanie Miller from The Stephanie Miller Show. Please enjoy this exclusive clip from my show on Political Voices Network. I think you must run out of things to say about your former party in terms of just this whole ridiculous. This is the border bill they demanded. Right? They vote it down, and then they're going to go ahead with trying again to impeach Mayorkas for not doing the job they won't give him the tools to do. Correct?
Correct, but they never fail to debase themselves, and it's kind of like this constant affirmation of making the right decision. So, in some ways, I'm grateful for how ignominious they are, and how this is perhaps the least productive Congress in modern history. Truly, I mean, this is a Congress that will absolutely do nothing, and I think there's legitimate questions. Does Joe Biden run against a do-nothing Republican Congress? Because he certainly could. I think what surprised me, though, in this recent faceplant was not so much the House. I mean, we've gotten used to it with the House, but Mitch McConnell, somebody who is really pretty
Yeah.
deft at Republican leadership. I mean, makes the hard decisions, does not care what people think. For 4 or 5 months, he let his team negotiate this deal, and then he caved to Donald Trump and said, "Oh no, we're gonna vote to kill it." And then the funniest thing was after they voted to kill it in the Senate, they realized, wait a minute, for months we've been saying we can't pass aid to Israel and Ukraine without the border. So wait, Mr. Schumer, wait. We don't want to pass a clean bill. Now we need to vote on the border after all. I don't know how they get out of this one, though, Stephanie,
Yeah.
really. I mean, I don't know how Mike Johnson gets out of this, because Mike Johnson is not Kevin McCarthy, who at least, checked his pride at the door, if nothing else, checked his brass at the door, and just took the hits. But I
Yeah.
don't know what Mike Johnson's going to do.
Yeah. I mean, can I just say that this is a piece that was written today. Republican rhetoric used by Republican office holders about the surge of migrants at the border with Mexico increasingly echoes the great replacement conspiracy theory that has inspired violence in the past, could do so in the future. Global Projects Against Hate and Extremism said this is the idea that directly influenced the Pittsburgh Tree of Life synagogue shooter, the El Paso Walmart shooter, the Buffalo supermarket shooter. It is the font of terrorism around the world. I mean, it really is, and this is the same rhetoric that Trump used again this weekend, right?
Yeah, yeah, Stephanie. It is absolutely true that there is a baseline threat of racism and xenophobia that is the bedrock of many in the GOP. Certainly not all, and people can decide what's in one's hearts, but we know what's on their lips. And what's on their lips is certainly xenophobic rhetoric, dangerous anti-immigrant rhetoric. And let's be honest, I mean, the reason the border bill is not going to get a vote in the House is because for many in the Republican Party, one brown immigrant is too many. Bring us
Yeah.
a white European skilled nurse out of,
Yeah.
some country that we favor, and wait, that's okay. That's all right. In fact, Donald Trump brags about increasing those types of immigrant visas. But the whole give us your tired, your poor, the
Yeah.
refuse cast upon the shore, as the poem goes, they've turned their back to that. And that's a question of who we are as a country, but really who they are as a party today.
And, actual plots, the FBI agents, as you know, just disrupted a plot by three men, two of whom said they were part of a militia, to travel to the Texas-Mexico border to kill Border Patrol agents and immigrants crossing illegally because they believed the country was being invaded. One of the men also called and left a phone message for Texas Governor Abbott's office to alert him about their plan, saying, if y'all can't take care of the border and shut it down, we'll be forced to come and do it ourselves. I
Yeah.
mean, so between that, it's Nicole Wallace. Who, when is she coming back? Could you get some information to us? But, as she said, right? Like, I think we all know some bad is about to happen between some MAGA-inspired right-wing violence, whether it's at the border or against judges or prosecutors. And I don't know what we do about that. I feel like we've just gotten numb, David, to this latest thing this weekend about Trump encouraging Russia to attack our NATO allies. We're so
Yeah.
numb to him that I don't even feel like the media handles it properly. Do you?
I think we have gotten numb to it. That's the right word. And I hate to start the week, kind of ringing the alarm, but we need to, because what many of us saw in 15 and 16 with Donald Trump is his moving the really aggressively conservative policies of the Republican Party that you could argue are anti-immigrant, anti-diversity, anti-DEI, but they were approached almost in a Jeb Bush cerebral way. He moved it to a cultural movement, or at least unleashed the cultural movement that was ready to be unleashed. It didn't start with Donald Trump, but here's why that is so dangerous, and the ability now to micro-target voters. Now, instead of, Uncle Norman in some flyover state, God bless him, I'm sure he's a wonderful person, but he was never the recipient of micro-targeted messaging because that wasn't the best uses of campaign money. This use of campaign money was the lowest common denominator. It's morning in America again. The economy's good. Everybody has jobs. Everybody's going to school. Well, now you're able to target communities that feel as though they're under attack if you tell them they're under attack. And if their way of life is being taken from them, if their culture, their privilege, their way of life is now being ripped from them, they get to fight back. They get to fight back. And that leads to January 6th. It leads to militias going down to the border. And what undergirds all of it? This angry, violent white nationalism. And I think that the biggest lane in that movement is actually ignorant of the socioeconomic arguments they are making. But there is a powerful, arguably violent lane in there, and we occasionally see it. And that's why the rhetoric's so dangerous, and the refusal to de-escalate it, not just from Donald Trump. Donald Trump is Trump. But if you're J.D. Vance and Elise Stefanik and Matt Gaetz and all these others that amplify it, it's dangerous. It's really dangerous.
Well, that's what I was saying. This replacement theory, it could be from a Fox show, could be from an Elise Stefanik speech. I mean, it's know, that are motivating, as we were saying, these violent right-wing shooters. And, David, I think I know it's hard to, I don't mean to blame everything on you, but as David Frum, you're also former Republican, said, the GOP listens to Trump and Trump listens to Putin. I mean, that's what it's boiled down to in your party, isn't it? And to me, it's just out and out treason. I mean, it's just, they do Trump's bidding and Trump does Putin's bidding. And that's, again on display this weekend, isn't it?
Consider, so Donald Trump says, kill the immigration bill because I want to be able to run on xenophobia. And then he says, kill aid to Ukraine because I want Russia to win the war that they started. And then he says to NATO allies, and remember, if you don't pay up some absurd idea that he has come up with, I'm actually going to say to Russia, go do whatever you want to Europe. It is dangerous stuff. But look, this is where we are. And so, yes, I left in the summer of 2018, I left the party. And where I have grown impatient now, this cycle, look, everybody has a journey and you got to give them grace, and everybody thinks, oh, it'll come back, whatever. That's fine. Not now, not 8 years later. Yeah. You can't be never Trump and still a Republican. You can't have problems with Elise Stefanik and Matt Gaetz and J.D. Vance and still be a Republican because you don't have a voice in that party and you're not turning the party around. So if you're a never Trumper in today's Republican Party, you're either fooling yourself or you're fooling your community and your country. It's time to leave and get out and do something with your patriotism that can actually effectuate change, because it ain't going to happen in today's GOP.
David, that's exactly right. I was just going to say what you said. I wish more people would say that. There is no turning this party around. It's just, I thank God you left, because we need more, good ones like you, just patriots, I mean, that's what it's gotten down to. It's like, I think Rachel Maddow said the other night, like, we're a party, at least. They're just a guy. Yeah. They're just a guy. They just do whatever he says. I mean, there's no party anymore, is there?
There's not. It's a cultural movement that Donald Trump unleashed and parked in the Republican Party, but now it has the apparatus of a party, and that makes it very powerful. Here's what I would also say, and this gets a little esoteric, but I think it's really important. The easy cop-out, particularly for politicians, on either side, we've heard it our entire lives, is the line, I didn't leave the party left me, right? That makes you feel good as you leave. Well, you're not doing enough if you're simply relying on that statement, because I think we should consider whether it's okay to change your mind in politics, because that's my journey. Yeah, I could say the party ended up going too far for me. That's true. But I was also a part of getting it there, and I thought I could control it, and I couldn't. But in leaving and in spending time as an independent, it's okay for me to change my mind. It's okay for me to approach questions of economic and racial equity differently than I did before, or to learn from the mistakes of my past and say, maybe progressives and Democrats are right on a certain basket of issues.
Oh my God, you could never be a Republican again. Yes, you are correct. You could never go back.
But we don't listen. say as voters, I'm not sure everybody agrees it's okay to change your mind in politics. Sometimes we hold people accountable for a decade. Something they said 10 years ago where maybe they're trying to
Yeah,
change their
yeah.
mind. But I think that's a more important conversation for us to have in politics. But I'm not sure many Republicans who might be candidates to leave the party really are ready to have that conversation. But it's getting too late.
Yeah.
You don't get to stick around the party as a never Trumper much longer.
Yeah, David, what do we do about the media that doesn't seem to have learned their lesson? It is still both sidesing things. Just wonder your thoughts on the whole Biden age issue, on Trump's criminal
Yeah.
situation, and where you think we're going to be in 9 months.
Look, I do think an area where the media sometimes criticize for their coverage of Trump is there's a certain number of Americans who think if we don't cover Trump, it all goes away. I don't think so. I think you have to cover the danger
Yeah.
of Donald Trump. However, the both sides of them, the corporate media needing to provide balance to the parties or equity between the candidates is absolute horse crap. All
Thank
right.
you for that.
And here's why. But it's also true. I think the Biden team, and I'm happy to support Biden this cycle. Absolutely, there's no question about it. But I think they're getting this question on age wrong. They're fighting the age question, and you're not going to win that fight. Joe Biden's old, and he's not getting younger. He's not Benjamin
Yeah.
Button. Okay, just accept the age issue and move on. Take that hit. And the reason you move on is this. This is not about age. They're using age as a proxy for fitness and capabilities. Show me where Joe Biden's age has limited his capabilities in leading the country
Thank you.
and reducing unemployment to all-time lows and increasing home ownership to all-time highs and breaking stock market records and breaking 401k records and keeping a network of freedom-loving democracies throughout the Western world in an alliance against threats of terrorism and threats
Yep.
from Vladimir Putin and other dictators. Who's done that? The old guy in the White House. So
Thank you.
you can call him old. That's fine. Take that hit. Who cares? Tell me where it's limited Joe Biden's
Thank
ability
you.
to lead at home or abroad, and you can't.
Thank
The
you.
White House, though, look, this one hurt them. This one stung, and I've been there. When it's personal, it hits hard, and you don't think rationally. They're still fighting the age question. Stop it. Take the hit, move on, because you beat Donald Trump on fitness and ideology every day of the week.
David Jolly, the most important thing, I want you to know that when you are the Democratic governor of Florida, we will change the jingle, and the jingle will still be perfect.